Good morning and welcome to our sixth session of the Beatitudes. Before we get started, let's take that trip up the mountain. Let's take that hike. Are you ready? Remember, there's different ways you can hike. You can pull yourself, you can use your fingers, you can roll, you can march, however you want to go. And let's go with Jesus' followers up that mountain. I'll count to 10. You can count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We made it. Stretch your arms up and remember that in Jesus' time, mountains were sacred places. They were special because people felt like they brought them closer to God. Today, I have climbed up some steps to the balcony at Christ Church to show you one of my favorite things and places to be. This is the beautiful stained glass window, and you can see Jesus there. This is in the very front of our church, up in the balcony. You can see it from the street. Sometimes if you drive by at night and you look at the church, you can see that it's the light shining. It's really beautiful. I encourage you to look at it sometime. Some of you have made the trip up those steps with me before and gotten up close to this. I know I brought Ellie, Audrey, Leland, and Justin up here with me just about a year ago to take a look at this when we were all able to be together still. So I want to jump right into our lesson. This morning's lesson, what Jesus taught was, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." So let's talk about the first half. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst. I want you to think about a time when you were really hungry. Maybe you just got home from school. My kids run to the kitchen. Everybody's hungry after school. Or maybe there was a time when you were out with your parents and you got hungry, but there wasn't any place to get any food and you had to wait a little bit. Think about how that felt. Being hungry doesn't really feel good. It makes your belly kind of hurt, and it's hard to think about anything but getting food because you just are so hungry you just want to eat. So keep that in mind for just a minute. Now for the end part, for the righteousness part. Righteousness just means fair. Have you ever played a game and somebody isn't playing fair? Righteousness means being hungry and thirsty for righteousness means you have this drive, you really want things to be fair. So much so it's all you can think about. You're so hungry, you're so focused on things being fair that's what all that you can think about. In Jesus' time, the people were really hungry and thirsty and for food and water, but they were also hungry and thirsty for things to be fair. Remember that wealthy people had a lot, and if you didn't have a lot, you didn't have much at all. There wasn't a whole lot in between. The wealthy had the power and the land, and these people that were following Jesus were looking for hope because their lives were not fair. They didn't have as much, and they didn't have a way to get there. They didn't have a way to get a lot of money or to make progress. And Jesus gave them hope. And he taught them that if they were working for things to be fair, that God was there for them and that they would be filled. So remember last week we said this, I am a child of God and everyone else is a child of God too. Do you remember us saying that? Why don't you say it with me again now? I am a child of God and everyone else is a child of God too. That's basically just us wanting everything to be fair. That's us wanting everyone to be treated. If we're all children of God, then we all deserve to be treated the same way, right? And so that is what this blessing and promise are all about. I'd like to share a book with you about someone I really like, Maya Angelou. I love to read her books and poems. They're beautiful. When you get older, you just might want to get into those too. And this little book talks about her life, and she was someone who was always hungry and thirsty for righteousness, for things to be fair. So let's learn a little bit about Miss Maya Angelou. Marguerite was born in the city of St. Louis. Her brother called her Maya. When Maya was 4, she and her brother were sent to live with their grandmother in Stamps, Arkansas. Growing up in the South, Maya was treated unfairly because of the color of her skin and because she was a girl. The world outside was very cruel. Home was hard too. When Maya was 8, her mother's boyfriend hurt her, Maya was so upset she stopped talking. A friend of her grandmother's named Mrs. Flowers noticed that Maya was afraid to use her voice. Mrs. Flowers showed Maya all kinds of wonderful books and how the words come alive when you read them out loud. Maya found her voice again, and in stories and poems of great writers, she loved words so much she read every book in the library. Can you imagine? Every book. That's amazing. That is someone who is hungry and thirsty to read. You can be hungry and thirsty for all kinds of things. I think she was hungry and thirsty for books. Even though Maya was a great student, she was told that she couldn't get a good job because of the color of her skin. But she had pride and hope. She thought, there's nothing I can't be. And she was right. She was a cook and a streetcar conductor. She was a dancer, a singer, and an actress. She traveled the world and learned to speak a lot of languages. At home in America, she worked to help all people get treated equally. It wasn't until Maya was all grown up that she decided she wanted to be a writer. So she began writing a book about her life. She told the story of a little girl who struggled through hard times but didn't give up. People all around the world were moved by her powerful story and her beautiful words. Maya became a famous writer, teacher, and speaker, inspiring everyone with her belief that you can be anything you want to be. On the day Bill Clinton became president, Maya read a poem. She had once been a little girl who was afraid to use her voice. Now she was speaking to the entire country about her favorite thing, hope. So here she is. You can see her picture as she was a little girl and then as she got older. And she was a beautiful writer. So what I would like you to think about this week are what are some things that we are hungry for all children to have. You can make a list, you can draw a picture, you can just talk to your mom and dad. When I think about things I'm hungry for all children to have, I think about laughter, I think about love, kindness. Of course, I want all children to have full bellies too. I want them to have knowledge. There's so many things I can think of. I want them to have books. I want them to have a relationship with God, to know that He's there for them. So you can do your own. Think about the things that you think all kids should have. You can look at a magazine and cut out pictures and paste them to a piece of paper. You can draw, like I said, or you can just talk. You can just talk to those you love about what you think all kids should have. It's time for us to pray. Will you pray with me? Loving God, we want to keep pushing and working for justice in your world, making it a beautiful and loving place for all your children. Please help us lead lives of hope and healthy relationships and to see ourselves as one family. Amen.